A stoic argument in a very sort of manly and masochistic view that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there's a heck of a lot of truth to that. Heck of a lot of truth to it. In fact, some people who are so monstrously oppressed, or impressed with bitterness and barbs and suffer terrible injuries, and they regenerate, which they would regenerate from. Why, such people are thought to be scary. They stand out in the crowd. It's as though, as some people say, you can't compete with them, or their whole code of ethics. It's frightening. Their internal code of ethics is frightening, and they'll be seeing perceiving advantages that others do not. And so therefore they're dangerous, therefore they have to be put down. Got to be careful not to, create a mutant, an X-Man. Gotta be careful with that. But they get real good at this. These little rape culture games, and it becomes a sport, a eugenic sport, and they just experiment on you. They run various different psychological operations just to see what you do. They study you, and with the goal, I suppose, of taking those eventually taking all those remote neural feeds and creating like a montage of the damned, over a course of generations, and they like it now, if you just record yourself. Also, I mean that spices things up. And they take security camera footage, and just if other people happen to get a little bit of footage, they assemble it all. It just leads to just outstanding developments in the world of in the field of population management, which is a new science and art. Ran into this sci-fi movie where that's what they were doing. And I reflected that, I had seen this, from what I watched, I had seen that portion of it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but enough to get an idea, of the terrible soul-scarring, endeavors that some people undertake, and thereby, they undermine their own position. They dig that hole deeper to hell, or hell, the fires of hell climb ever upward, and begin to heat the undersoles, of their feet. And one day, they take a step, and some flames spring up over, there, smelling all sulfurous, and it's not a gas leak. It's not a gas leak. It could be out in the middle of the woods, Then they fall through a trapdoor. Right. Turns out there was a deep underground base, And inside of which, there's all these chimeras, an attempt to breed the hell spawn, you know, to clear out a whole area, you know. To cleanse the earth, you know, of its inhabitants. Yeah, I know. A lot of fear-mongering, huh? Whole lot of fear-mongering. Whole lot of fear-mongering, huh? That's what I specialize in, you know. You're free to, you know, take any of these ideas and develop them. Just give me some credit, you know. Consult with me on the movie, you know, or the animation, or the comic book, or the novel. You want me to co-write with you, you know. I'll be a ghostwriter. That's fine. You know. I'll just be an underground consultant, an unacknowledged one. But you know, we have our own contract, and you know, we could do that, friends. I'm just trying to preserve my presence here, you know. Keep these bones upright, you know. Don't want them, you know, falling into a heap. Oh, we got a deer here. Fascinating. Well, just nothing. He's a young buck. It's just a young buck. Don't bother him. Yeah, but the ravens and the crows, they like me. They've been leaving little dead little rodents, and there was a dead little possum, a baby possum they left for me. Again. Yeah, they're really disturbed. You know, the birds know so much. You know, they see so many things, and they're really disturbed at our infighting behavior. You know, our sophisticated cannibalism. You know, they find it very, very disturbing. Check it. He's taking off. They want us to expand outward in every direction to the south. Yes, in every direction to the south. As the compass points, you know. You just head south. I rode over this graffiti. It had a target, and it said fate. It said fate. I was rehashing this incident in my mind that occurred earlier in the morning, and was figuring out how simple it would be to talk to somebody. To talk to somebody special, somebody who holds an interest for me, you know. And I could do it without disturbing her. You know. I remembered what that was like. And I began rehearsing. I wrote a little script out, a little possible script. It's never too late. It's never too late. The people who did this, to me, they said, and they screwed, with they screwed with, some of the good habits I developed, some of the great good skills, the very refined social skills that I once had. And they did it in part because of my views on circumcision, that I just don't think it's a good idea. They said, oh, I'm going to really end up hurting some people. Some people are going to be driven to suicide, when they learn that, that energy doesn't just cycle through. I mean, you've severed the circuits, and it doesn't cycle through and go back in and come back, it just kind of flies out the front there. It's like yelling at somebody. It's kind of like yelling at somebody. Some part of you is just yelling at her, yelling into her. Having this very in-depth conversation while you're, And so consequently, there's less understanding, there's less bonding. There's less, there's higher divorce rates, higher rates of marital counseling. There's higher rates of suicide for men who are circumcised. It's really a terrible, terrible idea. It's a horrible idea. But it makes a man more malleable. It makes a man more subject to pressures imposed by a brotherhood. A brotherhood. Because he's less pair bonded, with his woman. Simple. It's a slavery, it's a practice of slavery. There was this rumor going around, some years back about how I had contributed to Jordan Womble's death. I had, but no, he brought up the subject of circumcision and the Samson the Samson principle, and growing your hair long, and how your hair strands are like antennae, and how they kind of filter the EMF as it comes in, and they filter it, like experientially. Your hair growth it takes a while, so so he had brought it up. He'd gotten me to thinking about that again. I had just backlogged all that. I hadn't, thought about that in years. Hadn't considered. Then I did some research, found out, or I just did some investigation, I found out there'd been some research studies and so on and so forth. So, and I began to remember, all the things. Oh yeah. Began to remember all the things that had been done to me because I simply, they didn't take a shears to me when I was a baby. I escaped that, so anyway, he was the one to bring it up, himself. I think what Jordan kept running into the fact that there's so many people out there, they just, they're so boundlessly evil, and they just like to play games with people. They like to play games with people, mislead people, and he kept running into the idea that, hey, he'd have to sell his soul, in order to accomplish anything. So that he found unpalatable, that he just couldn't do, and they played one too many a psyop on him, and he just couldn't deal with it. I mean, they've really, more recently they really stepped up their efforts, really stepped up their efforts with me, revealing more and more, all these little traps laid, people lying in wait for me. I'm a victim of predictive programming in its most refined form. I don't know of a more refined form of it. When you take a prescient vision and you make a record of that, you extract it via hypnotic regression. You do this to a kid, you do this to a kid, and then you say, well, he's not allowed to remember any of it. And so thereby, I mean, you orchestrate all these different events. You do that with the aid of AI. You do it with the aid of a supercomputer. Supercomputers have been around for a long time. The 50s, really. The 50s, actually. The first really serious computers, were they made in the 40s. And I know all these really astounding techniques, these astounding methodologies, things that they did. I understand it now. If you want to, I don't know. They say I'm property. They say I'm property. Doesn't he know he's property? Yeah, this is just what criminals do, man. This is just what This is a criminal. This is a satanic criminal, fucking operation. So that's what I'm up against, man. Predictive programming. The out. I got to pay for the supposed sins of all these other people who were somehow just like me. They were just like me. Oh, they were just like you. They were just like you. We don't want you to make the same mistake. We don't want you to make the same set of mistakes. Oh, how can you relate to those people like that? How can you do that? They're not bad people. You gotta handle your life just this way. We're gonna tell you where to go. We're gonna tell you what to say. We're gonna tell you every move to make. We're gonna be there every day of your life. I mean, they didn't have me relate every single day of my life, but they got a handle on it, through other people too. It was being recorded as I slept, while I was in the while I was in my barracks room, back in 2000, 2001, all the 2002, some of 2003. They had it in the ventilation system. They had it in the utility partition. Long, narrow hallway between the barracks rooms. They had this all these creepy fucking weird people, man. Creepy, weird people in that company. And then it's like, all these people, they knew, they had heard stories about me in advance, They knew who I was before I had ever met them. Saying these things, One guy, he's in PsyOps. What was his name? Lamson. Had a father who was a general. He was involved in like insurance fraud and all kinds of. You'd hear about criminal activities he'd engage in. He was quite a character. He really stood out, He'd been in PsyOps. Then he joins an ammunition company. Weird, One dude was a naval special warfare operator. I guess a Navy SEAL. That's what they are. Navy SEAL. Then he gets hurt, and then he joins the ammunition company at Las Pulgas. Fascinating, weird, Weird. He took a liking to me, you know. He wanted to teach me some things. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm ever going to need to know all that. I wish I had. Wish I'd been more of an attentive student, you know. All these odd memories, all these odd events, lost time, you know. Oh, we skipped a day ahead. I skipped a day ahead again. What the fuck? You skipped a day ahead. I lost that day. Lost that whole day. Got accessed, you know. Later, yeah, it's just like, oh, this is just imaginary stuff, you know, because I'm bored. It's a boring job. Just imaginary, you know, it's all imaginary because it's a boring job, and this is really beneath me, and my life is being wasted. My life is being wasted. You know? So, you know, I mean that, yeah. Yeah, there were others. They did little things, things they conditioned in. It was a joke. It was a joke. Weird nerd, fucking weirdos. Weirdos from Ohio. That's where most of them come from. What happened in Ohio? What exactly? What are the historical transpirings, you know, there? What happened? I need to study up on that. Where are all these bastards from Ohio? Oh, Sergeant Pemble, you don't want to get out here. Oh, you know, there are stories about you. So what sort of? I don't think I've ever been here. What kind of stories? Oh, just stories. All this crazy shit. All this. Yeah, multiple people got a hold of me. I mean, there's an extended network. It's a game. It's a sick game. You know, you go to you work some temp job. You're driving some. They're doing a car auction, a vehicle auction. Run down vehicles, you know, bought for small pittance. You know, you drive them through. People are fucking. I don't even know what they did. You know, I don't even know what they did. I got a terrible headache. It was like I rolled down the windows. What did this bastard just do? I drive in there, drive into the little showroom. Now this vehicle, the vehicle and the driver show signs of artificial aging. Oh, everybody laughs and looks at me. I just keep a straight face and I waited an extra beat, you know, before driving on. You know, it's this kind of shit. What is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? Maybe somebody ought to artificially age you, huh? Maybe somebody ought to artificially age you, you fucking bitch. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Did I curse? Oh, man, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. It's not fucking appropriate. It's not fucking appropriate. Not fucking appropriate. Someone's gonna break your skull one day. Someone's gonna dig in along the knitting lines and rip it into two pieces. That's what's gonna happen to you. That's what's gonna happen to you, you fucking creep. Keep it up. Keep contributing to this whole field. Keep contributing to it. You're a good little vulture. You're a good little vulture. Daddy would be proud. You're a real man, aren't you? You're a real man. A rape enthusiast. Keep it up. Just keep on happening. It'll happen to you. Enjoy. Enjoy, all right? Enjoy.